As a nutritionist and an Ayurvedic wellness coach, I have found that a weak gut has been the center of most health conditions and diseases. But unfortunately, it's usually not where people look first. There are so many subtle signs of a weak gut that our body sends us, whether it's the obvious gas, bloating, or discomfort, or things like low energy, brain fog, bloating, skin breakouts, or even hair loss. In Ayurveda, which is the most ancient health science to exist, it says that your gut is considered the gateway to your health, your immunity, and your emotions, and even your glowy skin. Ayurveda is all about prevention. How do I spot the signs that something is not right before getting to the state of disease in the body? Modern science now actually backs what Ayurveda has taught for thousands of years, that the gut is not just about digestion. Over 70% of your immune system lives in your gut, and your gut microbiome directly communicates with your brain through something called the vagus nerve. So when your gut is inflamed, imbalanced, or undernourished, it doesn't just affect your belly. It affects your energy, your mood, your hormones, even how you respond to stress. And when that happens, your body starts sending signals. Not dramatic ones at first, but quiet little clues that your gut is asking for support. Today, I'm going to walk you through 6 signs that your gut needs some love, what they really mean, and simple tips on how to start your journey to a healthy gut. Health is not just how you digest your food, but how you digest your emotions, your experiences, and your life too. And if your digestion is strong, you build healthy tissues, resilience, and vitality in the body. But if your digestion is weak, toxins begin to build up. It's not just about what you eat, it's about what you can actually break down, absorb, and turn into nourishment. Your energy, mood, skin, and immunity, and even your thoughts are shaped by your digestion. There are 3 key signs of strong digestion according to Ayurveda. Number 1 is that you feel your hunger cues at a normal frequency. Number 2 is that you feel light and energized after eating and during the day. And number 3 is that you have 1 or 2 easy, satisfying bowel movements daily. When your gut is weak, you eat your food and the food actually sits undigested. That is what causes fermentation, which leads to bloating, gas, heaviness, and discomfort. And when toxins start to build is when you start to feel things like brain fog, low energy, and low immunity. And then the deeper tissues like skin, hair, bones, or hormones don't get nourished properly, which is why you end up seeing symptoms like dull skin or hair fall, which are usually the most common. So you know when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you see a coating on your tongue? Well, that's actually the first sign of toxins building up in your body. A thick white or yellow layer is a clear sign that ama or toxins are building up in your digestive system. And it means that your body is probably not digesting the food that you're eating properly or is not eliminating waste out of your body properly. So there are actually 2 main colors that you'll probably see on your tongue. The first one is a white coating. Now that's usually from heavy foods or dairy-rich foods. And the second is a yellow type coating, and that's from food that's too spicy, too greasy, or too inflammatory for your body. So this might be a little bit too intimate, but if you notice when you're looking in the mirror that it's also thick and sticky, it's a sign that you might have a chronic or long-standing digestive issue. So one of my favorite ways of getting rid of these toxins is using a tongue scraper. So before brushing your teeth, check your tongue, and then please use a tongue scraper every single morning and evening to gently remove this coating. Because if you think about it, whatever toxins are built up on your tongue, you don't want them to go back into your body, so you need to get rid of them. And brushing is just not as thorough as a tongue scraper is. It is such a tiny habit that can make such a huge difference. If you've been feeling bloated, gassy, or heavy regularly after eating, that is not just you being uncomfortable, it is a sign that your digestive fire is struggling. And there's a couple of things that Ayurveda recommends for this. The first one is avoiding raw salads and cold smoothies. Now, that might sound counterintuitive because when you think about eating healthy or eating for your gut, you think about vegetables and salads and eat the rainbow. But the fact is, raw foods can be really difficult to digest. And so cooking the food makes it a little bit easier for your gut to handle, to digest properly and absorb the nutrients. Also, we have to stop rushing our meals when we're stressed. Try and take a moment to be present with the food that you're eating. Sometimes the gas and bloating happens because you're eating too much too fast. Think about how big your stomach is and how big your plate is. And so your stomach needs warning and time to produce the right amount of acid to digest the amount of food that you are eating. And then incorporating spices like cumin, fennel, or ginger into these warm meals, because spices are so important for your gut. Spices help to ignite your digestion, they help to detox your body, and they add so much flavor into your food. And lastly, this is something that is so underrated but has made such a difference when I'm eating: taking breaths between mouthfuls. It sounds so simple, but just being present at meal times can literally change how you digest them. Even a deep breath before you start eating can completely shift your body from fight or flight into rest and digest. Now, let's talk about how you poo. How you poo is one of your top health indicators. Let me explain. Now, when you go to a dietitian or an Ayurvedic doctor, you're probably going to end up getting really intimate and talk about a lot of things that you're going to want to leave off your dating profile. One of the first things on their list to ask you about is your poo, because it says a lot about you. How often you go, what it looks like, is it uncomfortable? If your bowel movements are too loose, too dry, irregular, or infrequent, the questions are endless. And you'll be surprised how long that conversation can go on for. And if any of these sound familiar, your gut is struggling to absorb and release properly. When I was a dietitian, I had a lot of normals for people. So some people would say their normal was going once a day. Other people would say 3 times a day. But the reality is, for most people, the normal should be going once or twice daily with soft, smooth, and well-formed stool without strain. Think of it as a daily detox that your body relies on. If that doesn't sound like you, there are some simple things that you can try out. The first one is this herb called Triphala. It is an Ayurvedic herb blend you can get on Amazon or honestly anywhere online. And it is a great daily detox without being too harsh on your body. It helps with regular and easier elimination. It's best taken before bed or on an empty stomach. So you usually just take half or 1 teaspoon of this Triphala powder in warm water and down it. You can also get it in capsules if you prefer that. Another home remedy that is so easy is a spoonful of soaked flax seeds, chia seeds, or psyllium husk powder. You can soak it overnight and then take it in the morning, and it is great if you're feeling constipated or irregular. This next one is one most people ignore and don't necessarily link to their gut health. It's brain fog, tiredness, and these emotional ups and downs that we can go throughout a day. The gut and the mind are so deeply connected, and if your digestion is slow and the toxins are building up, your mind feels heavy too. A heavy body can often equal a heavy mind. And you may feel really unmotivated, mentally dull, or just feel really lethargic in your mind. And so to help yourself through these symptoms, try easy to digest meals and daily movement. I know when you're feeling lethargic, it is the last thing you want to do, but physical movement helps with mental movement too. As soon as you start moving your body, you will notice that your mind clears up, you feel more energetic, less lethargic. You probably noticed that when you do physical movement or any kind of exercise, it really does help with the movement of everything else through the body. It keeps things in flow and moving as they should. So next time you're feeling lethargic or a little bit backed up, make sure you go out and try a walk first, and I guarantee you, you're going to feel so much better. If you've ever been around someone who has really bad body odor, but you know they have good hygiene, it's probably not them, it's the toxins in their body. Persistent bad breath or body odor can be a sign that toxins are being released through the skin and the breath because they're not being eliminated through your digestion. So instead of masking it with perfume or deodorant, we all know that doesn't work. We really have to go in a little bit deeper because it is another sign that your body is saying, I'm trying to get rid of things and I'm not able to. So whether that's you or a friend, here's what you're gonna do. The more you hydrate, the more that flows through your body, the more opportunity there is to get those toxins out. But also bitters, bitter greens. Bitter foods are so important. In Ayurveda, it says that those are the key food groups that help to remove toxins out of your body. So whether it's kale or spinach or dandelion root, get yourself some bitters in your life. And for bad breath, simple Ayurvedic practices like oil pulling, I mentioned tongue scraper before, that makes a huge difference, or even herbal teas after meal, peppermint, chamomile. All these herbs are actually bitter on the tongue. They help to alkalize your tongue and help to neutralize the bad breath. In Ayurveda, your body is seen as an intelligent system that operates on the principle of conservation. It's always directing or redirecting its energy and nutrient towards the most vital organs and tissues first. And so there is this hierarchy that your body has of where it sends the nutrients first. It's your plasma, to your blood, to your muscle, to your fat, to the bone, to your marrow and nerves, and then finally your reproductive tissue. Hair and nails are actually just considered a byproduct of your bone tissue, which means that they're only really nourished or the nutrients are replenished only after all of these other tissues have received what they need. So you can imagine that if your digestion is weak or if your body's under stress, inflamed, or lacking the proper nutrition, it will prioritize survival over beauty. So you can imagine if you're not having the right foods or you're not digesting things properly, your hair and nails are going to be the one that suffer. Strengthening your digestion and reducing your stress and deeply nourishing your tissues are honestly the best long-term path to rebuilding not just your hair health, but also your overall vitality. So now you know the basic symptoms and signs of your body telling you your gut needs some work. So now let's talk about what you do about it. Now, I've actually created this 7-day gut reset and recommendation recommendations that I have to help to strengthen your gut over this 7-day period. But honestly, these are tips that you can take on for the rest of your life. Anytime you find your gut a little bit weaker or you notice these symptoms popping up and you want to do a gut reset. So here are 3 that you can start right now, but if you want to know a little bit more and do a deep dive, then I've left the link to the guide in the caption. So the first one is stop drinking cold water with your meals. And I know that especially if you're in America, that makes no sense to you. Every single drink that you get is cold. Ayurveda specifically talks about digestion as digestive fire. And so what does cold water or cold things do to a fire? It dampens it. It reduces its ability to produce heat, to produce the stomach acids that your body needs to digest those foods. And so if there's one thing that you do, try to avoid drinking cold water, specifically with your meals, but even during the day. I actually recommended this to a few of my friends who were having gut issues, and I have messages from them telling me what a difference just that one tip had made to people who had had gut issues for years and years and years. And so I really recommend trying that one out because it can make such a big change. The second one is to avoid snacking. And you hear so many things these days of make sure you're eating something consistently, have 6 small meals a day, and obviously everybody's different. But generally, we should avoid snacking because it takes a minimum of 3 hours for each of our meals to digest. And so your gut is never getting a break if you are then snacking in between those meals. So ideally, especially if your gut is weak, you have your meals and then you give it a rest or a fasting period in between till your next meal, rather than continuously eating and then putting strain on your stomach and your digestion to try and digest all of that food in the day. And the last one is eating cooked meals over raw food. Cooked meals digest faster and they're easier for your stomach to digest. Raw food can take a lot longer and actually can lead to a lot more toxin buildup in your gut. But just remember that our gut, just like the rest of our body, goes through ebbs and flows of being strong and then weak again and strong and then weak again. This is just how our body works. Whether it's changing environment, whether we're traveling, if we're going through stressful periods, so many things can impact our gut. And so we have to do a check-in with ourselves regularly to notice, are these symptoms happening in my body? Am I recognizing changes in the way that I am moving, the way that I am feeling, and the way that I am experiencing life? And you can assess that through the symptoms that I mentioned earlier. And if you are able to do this regularly, then there's a greater chance of your gut feeling stronger for longer periods rather than going through those ebbs and flows. I hope this video was insightful and the tips are helpful for you. Let me know if you try any of them out. I'd love to hear your journey and your experience into healing your gut, and I will see you next time.